Before we even knew there was such a thing as the Cornetto Trilogy, there was just Shaun of the Dead, a remarkably fresh, funny, and surprisingly sweet take on the zombie genre unlike any we had seen before. Along with Zack Snyder's remake of Dawn of the Dead and Danny Boyle's 28 Days Later, yeah, we know, not a real zombie movie, it helped reignite the interest in the brainless ghouls known as zombies, and the undead are still rockin' and rollin' to this day.
Any zombies out there? Don't say that. What? That? Why not? Because it's ridiculous.
Coming from the British trio of Edgar Wright, Pegg and Nick Frost, Shaun was a continuation of sorts of the splendid UK comedy series Spaced, which was pretty much an unknown commodity at that point for most of us.
Hello and welcome to Bangkok.
You should yell if you get bored.
Bangkok Gardens.
Shaun was a genre fan's dream, and it seemed like a very tough movie to top. Not as tough as choosing to subscribe to our JoBlo Originals channel, however. So what are you waiting for? Hit that button.
How's that for a slice of fried gold?
Yeah, boy! But Wright did not suffer a feature film sophomore jinx, instead picking up right where he and his friends left off. Released a few years later, the action comedy Hot Fuzz proved that lightning could strike twice.
You ever fired two guns whilst jumping through the air? No. You ever fired one gun whilst jumping through the air? No.
Using many of the same faces, the same techniques, even some of the same jokes, Hot Fuzz was truly a unique follow-up, almost a sequel stylistically, yet entirely its own movie with several new tricks up its sleeve.
Well, I won't argue that it was a no-holds-barred, adrenaline-fueled thrill ride, but there's no way you could perpetrate that amount of carnage and mayhem and not incur a considerable amount of paperwork.
Now, a favorite pastime for some movie geeks is trying to decide which is the superior film.
I this town!
While there is no definitive answer, we're gonna give it a go. Grab a pint, a Cornetto, and settle in as we attempt to pit two near-perfect movies against each other. Shaun of the Dead versus Hot Fuzz in this edition of Face Off.
Disclaimer. No actual science was used to determine the outcome of Face Off. Your results may vary. Please do not consume Face Off if you are allergic to conjecture, opinion, or general nonsense.
Round one. Main characters, Simon and Nick. It's an understatement to say that these movies wouldn't be as beloved as they are if Simon Pegg and Nick Frost weren't in them. Their characters are extremely likable and well-developed, yes, but they're also tailor-made for these two actors, making it so that you can't possibly imagine anyone else playing them.
As Mr. Sloman always says, there's no I in team, but there is an I in pie.
In Shaun of the Dead, Simon plays the titular character, an affable layabout, content to drink beer, play video games, and, when he remembers to, spend time with his girlfriend.
Things will change. Promise.
Really, Shaun?
Perhaps he'd be able to sort his life out if it weren't for his best friend and constant companion, the sarcastic and unmotivated Ed, played by Frost. With the end of the world on the horizon, you couldn't ask for two guys you'd want in your corner less. But they proved to be surprisingly resourceful, sometimes by accident, in the face of grave danger.
And hold it there.
Just get her off me!
These two became instant horror comedy icons for a reason. They're funny, good-natured chaps, the last ones to realize they're in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. You're not used to seeing guys like these in a scenario like this, and watching them play off one another is better than a slice of fried gold.
Hello?
He's gonna be dead either way.
Ed, that's not the point.
Simon and Nick changed it up somewhat for their follow-up Hot Fuzz, which sees them take on quite different protagonists. Pegg plays Nicholas Angel, a hard-nosed cop with very little in the sense of humor or self-awareness departments, intentionally something of a parody of stern policeman from 100 other movies. Angel initially seems like he'll be a difficult man to like, but Pegg gradually infuses him with genuine warmth and charm.
There was a bit earlier on that you missed when I distracted him with the cuddly monkey, and then I said playtime's over, and I hit him with the peace lily.
You're off the f***ing chain!
Comparatively, it's not at all hard to like Danny Butterman right off the bat, as Frost crafts an appealingly inexperienced man-child who is the perfect foil for Angel's all-business officer.
It's high time you realise that. You and your monkey. Did he mean me or that?
Together, they're a great team, a perfect mismatched pair who, of course, learn from one another and become the best of friends while taking down the bad guys with style. It's always fun to start these face-offs with a category where it's impossible to pick a favorite, isn't it? That's how we're kicking this edition off, as the duos of Shaun and Ed and Nicholas and Danny are equally memorable. We indeed begin with a draw. Verdict, draw.
Excuse me.
What?
When's your birthday?
22nd of February.
What year?
Every year. Get out.
Round 2, supporting characters and cast. Though the protagonists are the people we certainly associate with these movies first and foremost, credit must be given to the very capable ensembles that surround them. Both films offer veritable who's who of notable British thespians, all totally on the same page as Edgar Wright and his collaborators. Shaun offers the main character's close-knit group of family and friends, including Liz, by all accounts a great girlfriend almost willing to put up with anything.
To a wonderful mum.
Ooh.
Diane, Liz's bestie and voice of reason, Shaun's doting mom Barbara, and his disapproving stepfather Philip, played very well by the great Bill Nighy.
Mummy's dead.
No, he isn't.
And Diane's insipid boyfriend David.
Basically, I'd say your 9 lives were up, Shaun.
Get Four Eyes.
Let's also not forget the legendary Peter Serafinowicz as Shaun's uptight roommate Pete, or Raph Spall as Shaun's obnoxious underling. And we'd surely be remiss if we didn't mention a handful of neat cameos, including the likes of Martin Freeman, Reese Shearsmith, and Peg's old space roomie Jessica Hines. A solid group all around. Startlingly Hot Fuzz offers an even more impressive array of recognizable faces, as the movie features quite a larger cast of quirky characters. Frankly, it's like every notable character actor from the UK find themselves in the movie at one point or another. In the police department, you have an eclectic bunch like Jim Broadbent as Danny's father and superior, Paddy Considine, and once again Raph Spall as two thoroughly insufferable detectives, and future Oscar winner Olivia Colman as one very ribald constable.
Nice one, Doris.
Nothing like a bit of girl on girl.
That's just the tip of the iceberg, as the village of Sanford contains a non-stop parade of eccentric folks, seemingly all of them played by noteworthy pros. Former James Bond Timothy Dalton in a deliciously slimy turn, one-time Indiana Jones nemesis Paul Freeman, the villain of many a 90s movie Stuart Wilson, the original Equalizer Edward Woodward, Harry Potter and Game of Thrones vet David Bradley, and that's us leaving out a few.
If we don't come down hard on these clowns, we are going to be up to our balls in jugglers.
We'll get right onto it.
In smaller roles, you have Stephen Merchant, the Hound himself, Rory McCann, Martin Freeman, and Bill Nighy again, and even uncredited turns by Cate Blanchett, Steve Coogan, Peter Jackson, and more.
How can this be for the greater good? Shut it!
It's as if Wright attempted and succeeded in casting a movie exclusively with people he really wanted to work with, which must be a blessing for any director, and that's why Hot Fuzz wins this round. It's just packed to the brim with amusing characters played by accomplished actors. Verdict, Hot Fuzz.
Oh, off, grasshopper. Jesus Christ!
Round 3, action and violence. While the Cornetto Trilogy is rightfully revered for its irresistible humor and cleverness, let's not discount the fact that Wright directs the hell out of both pictures, ensuring there's never a dull moment to be found in either. When the going gets tough in these movies, there's plenty of blood to be shed, making it clear Wright is devoted to honoring the horror and action movies of the 70s and 80s that inspired him.
You got red on you.
Hello, mate.
Obviously, you can't make a zombie movie without spilling some guts, and while Shaun of the Dead isn't overtly gory, it's still packing some memorable mayhem, including an intestine-spilling death clearly inspired by George Romero's Dead Trilogy, some expertly done headshots, and of course, the unfortunate beginning of the end for Ed. But aside from the gore, Wright proves himself a very capable director of action itself, paired beautifully with ample heaps of comedic stunts and sight gags.
I'm taking a shortcut before.
Not to be outdone, Hot Fuzz takes the visual action humor combination in Shaun and ramps it up to excessive, preposterous levels. Not that there's any reason to complain. If Shaun proved Wright was a talent to watch behind the camera, Hot Fuzz put the ultimate stamp of approval on that notion, providing a handful of truly wild sequences that are as fun as they are impressive. Yes, he's sending up action buddy cop flicks, but he's paying tribute to them the best way he knows how.
I don't think I know how. I can show you how.
And that's by matching their ridiculousness beat for beat. And yeah, there's a decent amount of nasty violence to be found as well. In fact, it is quite possibly even bloodier than Shaun is, with nary a zombie in sight. Shaun is a fun movie during its well-executed action sequences, to be sure, but Hot Fuzz brings the heat in spectacular fashion, almost making you want to shoot a gun up the air while yelling, oh. Verdict, Hot Fuzz.
Chill out, everyone's alright.
Stop telling me to chill out! And no, for your information, everybody is not all right.
Round 4, humor. The action may be grand, but humor is still at the heart of the Cornetto Trilogy. For those of us who weren't yet familiar with the boys' brilliant series Space, Shaun of the Dead was something of a revelation, a movie clearly indebted to other movies.
I don't want to cause a fuss.
We're coming to get you, Barbara!
While still carving out a very distinct personality of its own. Rapid wordplay, double entendres, visual and verbal gags that reappear throughout. It's the kind of film that demands multiple viewings just in order to catch every joke thrown about.
Purple Rain. No. Sign of the Times. Definitely not. The Batman soundtrack. Throw it.
The humor works not only because of the screenplay's quick wit, but because the actors deliver their lines with such confidence. A dynamite example of performers matched perfectly with material.
Okay, let's try, shall we? Liz. Nice. Good vocal work.
Certainly the same could be said about Hot Fuzz, as it's always completely clear it comes from the same creative team. Heck, even some of the same jokes are imported over, albeit with a facelift or two. As with Shaun, the humor is of a clever variety, not a mean-spirited one, and it's delivered, while director, screenplay, and actors are all completely in lockstep. And again, you might want to watch it more than once in order to catch everything. It's hard to keep up.
You mothers.
Both Shaun and Hot Fuzz are extremely funny comedies loaded with unforgettable bits that stand on their own, but when put together as part of a larger picture, they stand out that much more. Here's another category where it's impossible to pick a favorite, so we're going with the tie. Verdict, draw.
I don't know any more than you do, but what I do know is that we're here now and we have to make the best of it.
Round 5, dialogue. This is obviously tied into the last round, but the dialogue in Wright's first 2 Cornetto movies is so good that it really deserves its own category. We could just show you about 50 minutes of each movie here, but since that's not practical, we've tried to highlight some of the most memorable lines. Obviously, there's so much more where this came from.
Can I get any of you a drink?
Sort your life out, mate.
There's a girl in the garden.
Oh my God. She's so drunk.
Oh, for God's sake! Oh, he's got armor! When's your birthday?
8th of May, 1969.
You're 37.
Yeah.
Get out.
Yarp.
Why has he got his hat pulled down like that? He's ugly. Or he doesn't want you to see his face. Because he's ugly.
Everybody and their mums is packing round there.
Like who?
Farmers.
Who else?
Farmers' mums.
You're a doctor. Deal with it.
Yeah, mother.
Obviously, not an easy task picking the Cornetto movie with the most memorable dialogue. Like every other aspect of these films, it stands out among most other genre comedies, and yet when put in direct competition with one another, it's a duel where a winner can't easily be determined.
Pack it in, Frank, you silly bastard!
Verdict, draw.
What else you got? Crockett and Tubby.
Skid marks.
Now who's being childish?
There were no skid marks at the scene.
Round 6, soundtracks. Is there anything Edgar Wright and company can't do? Adept at action, gore, comedy, casting. Why not throw in powerhouse soundtracks into the mix? It's certainly clear as can be at this point how crucial music is to Wright's films, and it's never clearer than in his first 2.
This is ridiculous!
No, it's not, Dad.
Shaun is simply masterful in the way it uses music, from popular songs to an exciting score which sprinkles in bits from Romero's Dawn of the Dead, which surely earns it some brownie points in the hearts of horror fans. It certainly has the best use of a Queen song aside from maybe Wayne's World.
Okay, John, it's time at the bar.
The infectious eye monster. To kick things off, the immortal Ghost Town from the specials.
Last orders, please.
And even though Ed doesn't want to hear it, the iconic If You Leave Me Now from Chicago.
Maybe I'll put this on.
It's on random.
As has become a constant, Hot Fuzz was just as capable in this department as its predecessor. Hell, it was even scored by Bond composer David Arnold. Lest it not be clear, Wright was going to pull out all the stops. He's packed this one with some great tunes, including Adamant's Goody Two Shoes.
Received the Baton of Honor. Graduated with distinction into the Metropolitan Police Service.
The Kinks' Village Green Preservation Society.
We are the Village Green Preservation Society.
Morning, Sergeant.
And even some of Mark Isham's score from Point Break, which Danny would have no other way. Still, Shaun's needle drops are completely intertwined with its overall personality, and if nothing else, the Don't Stop Me Now scene is an all-time classic. Set the jukebox on random when it comes to Shaun's soundtrack because it's a banger.
It's on random.
Say.
Verdict, Shaun of the Dead.
What's he do? Just say bass. Or freeze.
Final verdict, Hot Fuzz. Bloody hell, this was one of our toughest ones yet, and is usually the case with these close contests. It could have gone either way. Furthermore, the movies are so connected in spirit and style that they're both winners. You throw in the third Cornetto movie, The World's End, and you've got an ideal triple feature to watch with your closest mates.
You've had enough. This is the world's end, man. I know.
After all, connecting with your friends is what these movies are all about.
Ed!